I don't even know who that guy is. He looks like an old man. Okay, Mermaid's corpse has been discovered on the beach near Ijika town. While Yumiko and her partner are investigating its whereabouts, they run into an important local figure. This is after the skeletons, but before the mermaids. Gotta keep that in mind. Okay, I also like thinking the best way to split things up. Obviously, I feel like realistically, there is a way that you could play through these chapters that would like flow decently. But I do think going between characters is the best way to go, and I really should have done that when I first started 7 Mysteries, but we're doing it now. Date unknown. Yo, guy, you got a sticker in here? Will my vision work in here? Mr. Yamashina, thank you for agreeing to meet with us on such short notice. I understand you're a busy man. Not like I have much choice when it's some bigwig from the prefectural police badgering me to do so. So you're Shiki from the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, Security Division, was it? Look at that face. Ha! And here I thought you were just some housemaid. Are you sure you're from the police in that getup? Well, I am primarily a housewife by trade, but that's hardly important right now. Do you say housewife by trade? You're also known as Unkako Dono. I was gonna say I would assume this guy is that, but I guess we've been confirmed. So that this does really work out. Honestly, as far as the story chart is concerned, this kind of works out pretty well, doesn't it? You're also known as Unkaku Dono, I believe. After hearing so many rumors, it's an honor to make your acquaintance. Rumors, eh? Yoshiatsu Yamashina. Profile update. I don't like the look on his face. He definitely looks like he would be cutting Sato up. He's a tycoon. What an occupation. A wealthy tycoon who owns multiple companies and swaths of land, particularly in the Tsu and Ise areas, born in the Taisho period, unmarried. His family first came into business in the Edo period, traveling from town to town, selling talismans, miscanthus, reed hoops, and other items to ward off evil spirits. During the Meiji period, this business expanded into a trading company, and the Yamashina family became prominent contributors to the development of the region. Born into the era of the Yamashina family business and the daughter of a noble family, Yoshiatsu grew up in an affluent environment where he received a thorough education tailored to gifted children. Interesting. Would gifted children be like psychics kind of gifted? Following the end of the war, Yoshiatsu inherited the company assets in his 30s, but was quick to sell off all the shares he owned, using the proceeds to buy and sell real estate and stocks, a practice that made him extremely wealthy. After amassing his fortune, he showed a keen interest in investing in ambitious young people, actively mentoring those he took a particular liking to. This approach led to the emergence of many successive businessmen, which included Shinobu Wakamura of Kameshima. Those who have received Yamashina's support view him with both gratitude and a sense of awe bordering on reverence, referring to him as Unkaku Dono, a title that evokes a figure elevated above the clouds. Yamashina has always shown a strong attachment to wealth, even going so far as to partake in illicit activities such as illegal donations, tax evasion, insider trading, and media control, all in an effort to garner ever more status and money. What a fun list that was. In the shadow of the many success stories enabled by his support, many more of his beneficiaries have fallen into bankruptcy or been arrested, fueling endless unsavory rumors about him to this day. Yamashina himself, however, seems to be unconcerned by these rumors, considering anything that does not directly harm him to be beneath his notice. Even as a lifelong bachelor, he has surrounded himself with many followers, both publicly and privately, and has never lacked for anything to satisfy his personal needs. A few years ago, he began to seriously consider the issues of a successor, driven by his determination that his beloved fortune should never fall into the hands of someone untrustworthy. Perhaps for this reason, he began to develop a keen fascination with immortality around the same time, and is said to be secretly investing vast amounts of money into research on the topic. Yes, I've heard you've been doing some under-the-table research into immortality. Not really that public. And so what if I am? Well now, I wouldn't have expected you to be such a dreamer, but it does make you just a bit more relatable. You can laugh all you want. What's it got to do with the police anyway? It seems on this particular occasion, it has quite a bit to do with the police, unfortunately. You don't say. You wouldn't happen to have dumped a couple of skeletons, would you have? What a place to put a sticker. Yo, it's a sick one though. Was that a falcon? Or was that a hawk? I don't know my birds very well. I don't go bird watching. Kiting killer. I don't know. Might be either. I think falcon. I'm gonna go falcon. Isn't there like a seabird of prey that has like a different name? These splendid gardens all fall within the grounds of Mr. Yamashina's Ise City estate. Part of me wonders why he needs so much space when he doesn't have a family. But I suppose he has an image to maintain. You know I gotta pull out my handy-dandy vision at some point. Nothing else. The water wasn't anything? Vision mode! I see. I see. It bothers me so much. Just nothing done about it yet. It's obviously going to be important, but when? After looking into the corpse of the mermaid found earlier this morning... This is not correct timeline-wise, right? It seems highly likely that it was taken into the custody of Mr. Yamashina here. He's quite the big shot around here, with plenty of weight to throw around, both politically and financially. Of course, all the local police know of him, and of his moniker, Unkaku Dono. We had to get one of the higher-ups to act as an intermediary to even get a meeting with him. Personally, I'm happy as long as we can get the mermaid corpse back from him. Although I certainly won't complain if he can tell us anything about the curse as well. I hear he's quite the curmudgeon, so we'll have to watch our step when dealing with him. And that's I don't remember if we already knew about the mermaid that was taken away before we went to the mermaid that was the first chapter we had with everyone here. People like Yamashima, although I feel like that would have came up in that part. I don't know. I think this is wrong timeline-wise, but I could be mistaken. It has been a couple of days since I played that chapter. People like Yamashima have a tendency to underestimate me whenever I meet with them alone. Having someone intimidating like is Soto intimidating? I guess sometimes he could look a little bit like he's got it together. But I've seen him with his wiggle mouth. I don't believe that for a second. Someone intimidating like Soto with me gets them to take me more seriously. I'm glad he's here with me today. Not anything, right? I'm amazed we were able to get an appointment with him this quickly. Yes, and all thanks to Detective Ide. It would seem he's quite the capable fellow. Yes, that was the first time we met with Ide, right? So I really think this is wrong on the timeline. Unless if there's a meaning behind it being wrong. This is Yoshiatsu Yamashina. He's a tycoon with multiple properties and companies to his name, mostly based here in Ise-Shima. He's long been rumored of being involved in various shady dealings. Special Investigations has had an eye on him for a while now, but they haven't managed to find any concrete evidence so far. Seems he has a knack for pinning the blame on his subordinates before finding a way to slip away. Needless to say, he and the police are quite familiar with each other by this point. Though I don't doubt he has local police chiefs and politicians under his thumb behind the scenes. There's no need for me to get involved in all that. I'll be satisfied as long as I get the information we need from him. More? Apparently he wears that crested hakama every day, not exactly casual wear for most people. Wearing something like that in the summer heat, that's commitment to keeping up appearances. Okay, nothing else. Talk to the strange man that wants Sato. I'll get straight to the point. I believe you took a mermaid corpse into your possession this morning? What? That corpse is linked to an ongoing case. We came here to ask you to release it into police custody. No idea what you're on about. Of course, you will get something in return. We have some information I'm sure it'll find quite profitable in exchange. Like I said, no idea what you're on about. If that's all you came here for, then scram. Oh, pity. I really thought you'd be interested in what we had to share. Assuming you really are interested in immortality. Well, I suppose we barely know each other. It's only natural that you'd be wary of our intentions. What do you say to a little chat to get to know each other better, Mr. Unkaku Dono? Think about it. All we have up our sleeve is information on immortality. I suppose we'll just have to hope he takes the bait. How much information, though? Apparently... Oh, I didn't want to look at him. I wanted to talk to him. About the portrait sketch? Let's not lead with that. The portrait sketch... Which one are we talking about? The skeleton? Let's talk about ourselves a little bit. By the way, you're obviously not just some run-of-the-mill cop. Who are you? Why, I believe I mentioned it when I introduced myself. I'm just a simple housewife. A likely tale. Plus, that fellow next to you also got a strange air about him. He's no ordinary person, is he? My, how observant of you. I suppose you could say that, yes. Huh. Doesn't take a genius to see it. One of them phony psychic types, are ya? He sees it too? Phony? Ha ha ha, hit a nerve, did I? There are far too many of your kind around lately. Cozying up to those in power by feeding them a bunch of nonsense. Liars and cheaters, all of you. He's so angry about it, look at him! You seem to have quite the chip on your shoulder about this, Mr. Yamashina. Huh. Don't know if it's because of this occult craze going around, but I've seen far too many folks get taken in by that tripe. That Wakamura over on Kameshima is one of them. Talk about a waste of potential. Wakamura? How upset are you about that? Not enough to say anything else. Who might this Wakamura be? Wakamura, he's one of my proteges. He's the one currently in charge over on Kameshima. Used to have high hopes for that one, but that changed when he came under the thrall of some phony sorcerer in Tokyo. A phony sorcerer in Tokyo? You heard right. Since then, there's been no end to his nonsense. Buying properties out in the mountains, changing company names, all because of something this sorcerer whispered in his ear. He even told me the layout of my house was unlucky and tried to get me to renovate the place. Just recently, he was going on about some curse causing a big storm, that sort of rubbish. A storm caused by a curse, you say? Huh. Even said the storm 5 years ago was caused by the same curse. He's been trying to wheedle me into helping him find some way to stop it. But I'm done with him and his ramblings. Man's clearly lost cause. He'll be coming over here tomorrow morning, but I'm thinking it's time to have someone else take the reins over on Kameshima. I see, so even though you believe in immortality, you refuse to associate with anything to do with the occult. And you do? I figured someone claiming to be a cop would have more sense than that. How are you meant to solve crimes if criminals can just pull out curses left and right? You won't find me disagreeing there. So what exactly has this Wakamura been saying about this curse? Hell if I remember. Why don't you go to Kameshima and ask the man yourself? Maybe we will. Thank you for the information. So this is then what leads to us going there. Interesting though, I wonder if we can get the information that there is, at the very least, a immortal girl that he's gonna talk to. Obviously, it seems like he wouldn't have any information on the Raging Wave, but I'm guessing he has enough power that he can just make Wakamura disappear once he gets the girl. Nothing here. About you. I hear you've been putting quite a bit of effort into training up the younger generation recently. What's your take on today's youth? Useless. The lot of them. Bunch of pushovers that have let all this new generation tripe go to their heads. We're the ones who built this country back up after the war, but they're out there strutting around like they own the place, far too big for their britches. My, what a scathing review. Would our resident member of the new generation like to comment at all? Is he the new generation? Like, look at that! How's that intimidating? Please don't call me that! I hear you've been searching for a successor, though. Given your strong opinions on the matter, I take it that you're struggling? Though I can see why that could lead to a desire for immortality. After all, there's no need to cede your legacy to someone else if you can remain at the reins yourself, Today I learned that that's how you spell seed in this context. I always thought it was just spelled like plant seeds. Yamashina does not know how to respond. That might have been true when I started my research. Oh, I take it that isn't the case now? I'm no spring chicken. The thought of living for hundreds of years like this ain't exactly appealing anymore. Don't see much point in immortality if I'm already long past my prime. If he's telling the truth, then that's curious. Well, that certainly is different from the rumors. My apologies for jumping to conclusions. You have my wholehearted agreement that immortality doesn't necessarily bring happiness, though. Let me clear up one more thing while we're at it. I've already decided on my successor. Oh? Turns out the perfect candidate was right under my nose the entire time. Is his successor Sato? I haven't told him yet, but they're a sharp one. They do a fine job. They'll do a fine job. I guess it can't be if it's a sharp one. That means he knows who they are. Is that so? I'm glad to hear it. I suppose that would mean that you no longer have any need for immortality then? Who said I wasn't still interested? It simply has nothing to do with my successor. Why would he care though? Just money for it? I still intend on continuing my research for medical advancement, you understand. Think of it as doing my bit for society. You lot are always quick to assume the worst of whatever I do. How about you mind your own business for a change? Well, there's not much we can say to that. We'll try to be more discerning from now on. I still don't, I don't know what these do. I'm never gonna use that button though. I don't even really know what I'm trying to look for here. I don't know, I guess we don't really know anything about who could potentially be a successor. We barely know anything about this guy. We just know about Wakamura. It definitely won't be Shotaro, and he hates Wakamura. We already got that out of the way. Wait, I got it. Yuza's the successor. Gonna take over everything. I don't know. Let's talk about me again. Can't say I care much about you, who you are anymore. You going around with some phony psychic tells me all I need to know. How dare you? Soda, calm down. He can think what he wants. You need to defend my honor, lady. Please. Ma'am, I guess. Lady's kind of rude. I meant lady like in the like sophisticated kind of like, you know, like she's royalty kind of lady, but it comes off rude. Soda would say like, Madame, let's just go with the mermaid. There's one thing I should warn you about. Eating the flesh of that mermaid you found won't grant you immortality. But I already did it! And what would you know about that? Well, you know, one hears all sorts of things in this day and age. I'm sorry, I'm going back to Soto for a minute. Again, it's like crazy to me. This kind of came up a little bit similar in Seven Mysteries. The idea that you are like, you turn your nose up to occult stuff, but then you're also like, yeah, I might try to eat a mermaid. But that occults and psychics, all that shit, that's crazy. That's out of control. Those people are stupid. I will eat the flesh of a mermaid, though. I don't know where it came from, but there seems to be a legend that eating mermaid flesh will grant you one immortality. All I wanted to say was that it's just that, a legend. It has no basis in reality at all. How can you be so sure? Just think about it. If that legend were true, wouldn't it be strange that no confirmed immortals have ever been found? Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah? Who's to say they aren't just living in hiding? The legend of Yao Bikuni is passed down in over 100 places across Japan, yet not a single verifiable immortal has ever been found to show for it. So you mean to say all those legends were fake? Please! If even just one of those tales is true, there's always a chance there's an immortal hiding away somewhere. I see, you really are quite the dreamer, aren't you? Huh. I figured you were trying to bluff me out of that mermaid corpse for some reason or other, so you do have it, though. Look at... What's Soto doing with his face right now? But now I'm sure of it. That thing's hiding some sort of secret, isn't it? Something you don't want me to find out. Because he was acting like he didn't have one before. I loved also Yumeko's face at the end there. Wakamura again. Is there anything you can tell us about the phony sorcerer that Wakamura is so devoted to? I just want to know their name. Wakamura went on about how there's some big shot who appeared on television. I never heard of them. Is it, as I said, just ask him yourself. Of course, we'll be sure to do so. I was gonna say there was kind of a talk of someone showing up on TV in 7 Mysteries, but I don't know. I feel like this psychic has to be a bit more important than that. About the sketch. By the way, you're quite well connected around these parts, if I'm not mistaken. This doesn't have anything to do with what we came here to talk about. With that sketch, right? But again, I don't know, the timeline seems weird. But I was wondering if you happen to recognize the person in the sketch? It seems he lived in the Ise-Shima area around 6 years ago. Nope, never seen him. That face makes me think you have. It looks like you're smelling a fart right now, dude. I assume you've heard the news about the old human bones found on the seabed? This is a sketch of one of the victims from that case. You sure you have no idea who it could be? First I've heard of it, actually. Got no interest in things that have nothing to do with me. Nothing to go off of that. I've already chosen my successor. No need to harp on about it anymore. Already written up my will and passed it out off to my lawyer. You be sure to let your friends at the police know, too. Well, back to mermaid talk. So you admit you have a mermaid corpse then? Oh, I was right about that. Oh, geez, I screwed up. Oh, don't worry, we assumed as much from the start. If I'm not mistaken, that mermaid was in a sort of mummified state, no? I doubt they'll be eating it as it is. Surely there's no harm in handing it over? Huh. So you can hog it for yourself? You won't fool me that easily. You don't think that a rare specimen like that ought to be placed in the care of a proper research institute? I'm saying I'll get a specialist research institute to study it. Problem solved. I suppose so. We can just keep going on that. Can we think about anything? So he's already had the corpse dissected. That makes things a bit more difficult. Not that the dissection itself would have told him anything. It would have come across as little more than a cheap fake at best. That means he'll likely dispose of it, robbing us of our lead. I'd rather avoid that if possible. Is our only option left to tell him the truth about mermaids? Let's try to get more information out of him first. I don't know, I feel like I might have gotten all the information out of him. I'll make sure that mermaid gets studied properly. Don't you worry about that. Keep going. How about this then? If you agree to give up the mermaid, we'll tell you what we know in return. For someone who doesn't seem to believe in the occult, you seem awfully fixated on this mermaid and immortality. That's what I'm saying. Which suggests to me that you found something you consider quite conclusive. What are you on about now? Soto, what are you doing? Those eyes. Well, I happen to know a bit more about mermaids than most people. Ma'am, are you sure? It's fine. I had the opportunity to do some research into them a while back, you see. I'm actually a mermaid. You don't say, and... Well, mermaids do indeed have the ability to grant a human immortality. Ha! I knew it. More precisely, individuals granted immortality in this way are known as 800-year immortals. So are there multiple of them then that are 800 years old? So they have a lifespan of 800 years? That's right. As the name suggests, they gain 800 years of remaining life. What would that mean with, like, death? Do you, like, get that back? Also, is this the silhouette of, Sato on the beach? It might just be random. During this time, they won't age a day, and even if they die, they'll resurrect immediately. Sounds like a real blessing. No, I'm afraid it's anything but. One who defies the very laws of nature like that is no longer human. They're an anomalous being that should not be allowed to exist. Yumeko, what the fuck? Sato seems like a nice enough girl, even if she is 800 years old. As such, our position requires that any such individuals we find are dealt with as swiftly as possible. Indeed, this immortality was originally a curse mermaids placed upon humans. A curse? Immortality is neither a blessing nor salvation for the living. It's a curse that robs them of the ability to die. None of those who have become 800-year immortals have found happiness, not one. I don't know, Sato seemed like she was having fun with the gang. It went swimming, the shark. There was fireworks. It renders living among other humans impossible and makes them an outcast from society. I don't want to be an outcast. Of course, there are a few years at first when life will be tolerable. But after that, every meeting ends in parting. Isn't that fucking life, though? Come on. You outlive whomever you love or are loved by. I mean, that part, obviously, but meetings ending in partings, that's fucking life. Like, even if you find acceptance, it will only be for a time. You will always be shunned eventually. You'll experience this over and over for 800 years. 800 years unable to die, with loneliness as your constant companion. This is also just straight up a silhouette of Sato as well. This is why many see no other recourse than a life of monastic seclusion, just as Yao Bikuni did. I suppose that makes sense. Like, if you're researching immortality, I feel like that thought process has to have already came across Yamashina at some point. Still, there'll always be those who seek immortality. Always have, always will be. You think so? I, for one, struggle to see the appeal. In any case, there are also certain conditions that must be met for this curse of immortality to be effective. Eating mermaid's flesh alone isn't enough to make you an 800-year immortal, but it's part of it? Oh, and what exactly are these conditions? Sorry to disappoint, but I'm not aware of the specifics there myself. Then how helpful are you? A person who has gained an 800-year lifespan after being cursed by a mermaid. Someone who ingests part of the body of a mermaid that meets certain conditions will be cursed and become a being known as an 800-year immortal. Once cursed, the individual's own body is lost and a provisional body is reconstructed using the parts of the mermaid ingested as a medium. That's a lot of information out there that we didn't really get from that conversation. So they're a clone, they're a copy. It's the whatchamacallit then. We'll look at it after we read this actual note. The individual's own body is lost and a provisional body is reconstructed using the part of the mermaid ingested as a medium. Which honestly, what that would mean to me, if we're gonna take that the copy thing, is that that's when the bodies switch, and the one that you see that's like sinking to the bottom is the original drowning and dying. So honestly, what I assume, well, no, that was a wrong timeline though. Shit. I was gonna say in the ending we got where Yuza got decapitated, he might come back, but that, I mean, I guess that could have still been part of the thread if we still saw the hole, but didn't say anything to Azami. I don't know. Spitballing, obviously, it could mean nothing, but I mean, that sounds pretty damning if you ask me. Maybe not damning, but it sounds pretty connected. The bodies reconstructed, all of this stuck on one sentence. The individual's own body is lost and a provisional body is reconstructed using the parts of the mermaid and Jessa as a medium. Their soul is then transferred to this provisional body. Also, soul transfer, so, you know, there's a lot to be taken from that and potentially, who we might be. Their soul is then transferred to this provisional body, which they are able to control as if it were their own, with their consciousness presiding over both their soul and body from the head. What was the third thing? It wasn't mind. It was something similar, like spirit is different from soul. As such, they could already be considered to be more spirit in nature than human. Never mind, they used the word spirit, so probably not that. If the individual is fatally wounded or contracts an illness that results in their death, their body will instantly be restored to its default state, allowing them to revive. In the event they lose any body parts, their heart will treat the largest remaining part of them as their main body and regenerate any lost parts from there. Okay. I understand what they mean by that. Do you think that's going to come up later at some point? Because that's a weird detail to bring up. Their heart will treat their largest remaining part of them as their main body and regenerate. Why their heart specifically? Because, like, let's say your whole body gets minced up except for a hand. How does the heart do that? I guess the heart wants what the heart wants. Any lost parts from there, with the removed part subsequently vanishing. This even occurs in the event that the lost body part is the head. Why highlight that? However, these individuals heal from non-fatal wounds at only a slightly faster rate than their bodies would be capable of naturally. Huh. I guess non-fatal wounds. Okay, so that just means that it won't be suspicious. Like, you get a cut, it's gonna take a while for it to heal. But obviously if you die, then that's gonna heal quick. As these people feel physical sensations and pain in the same extent as they would have in their original body, it is extremely difficult to tell whether an individual is an 800-year immortal or not unless they die, even for the individual themselves. Or, you know, you watch them for 800 years. The lifespan of the provisional body is 800 years from the time of its creation. Due to the individual's original body already being lost, not even the mermaid responsible for the original curse is able to dispel it. The individual will only see the end of their long life once 800 years have passed. I wonder, too, if potentially Yuza was saved. If we say that his mom's a mermaid still, which, like, I don't know, again, them saying it outright makes me think it's not the case, but also a lot of the evidence really points towards it. Tomokazuki is the thing. I don't know about the, like, having an object or reaching out part, but I feel like the body has to have some kind of connection still. Maybe it's even, like, the doppelganger is the spirit coming to the... I don't know. I feel like it's connected, though. It has to be connected. But I can say this much, at least. The mummy you have in your possession is no mermaid. It's not a surprise. We already discussed what it is. Huh? Bullshit! Ain't no way that's anything other than a mermaid. What I mean to say is that mummy is a different being from mermaids who wield this curse. Not all half-fish, half-human beings are mermaids, you see. In fact, calling them all by the same name is what leads to mishaps like this one. It's also kind of racist. Say what? I'm no racist. You mean to tell me that's not a mermaid? That real mermaids are a completely separate thing? That's right, which is why I can say with confidence that eating its flesh won't make you immortal. Seems like you weren't bluffing after all. You really just accept that? So what is that thing then? There's gotta be some reason you're after it. I imagine that even if you had it dissected and examined, all results would point to it being just a mass of fibers. In other words, nothing more than a man-made fake. Huh? There's a very good reason for that, you see. That mummy is merely the corpse of an average human, twisted beyond recognition by the curse of the forsaken fish. What? Another curse? Another curse wielded by mermaids, as it happens. That would be the remains of someone who died under it. It also happens to be the same curse responsible for the mermaids found every few hundred years or so across the country. He doesn't believe in curses, though. You see now why we'd rather you handed the mermaid over to us. The poor soul deserves a proper burial, same as anyone else. Surely even you're not as hard-hearted as to deny them that. Curse this, curse that. It's all a bunch of Hokum, if you ask me. Hokum? That said, the report I got from the Research Institute earlier said exactly the same thing. Oh my, I take it you already had the mermaid dissected then. They said it was likely a fake, but asked if I wanted them to keep going anyway. Oh, Soto looks sad. I told him to keep at it, but... It should be clear now that you have nothing to gain from researching that corpse, least of all information on immortality. Won't you consider handing it over? Of course, we could always take you in on charges of abandonment and desecration of a corpse. Alright, have it your way. Where would the abandonment part come from? I'm so glad you've come around. Thank you for your cooperation. Also, I feel like in the long run, all we really needed was for Soto to see the corpse to get the face recognition, right? Perhaps he isn't as fixated on immortality as I thought. That leaves us in a rather unfavorable position. How should we approach this now, I wonder? We basically already solved it, so that must have just been a earlier thing. About that mermaid, though. I'll give you the damn mermaid, but in exchange, I want you to tell me one thing. What is it? You say there are real mermaids out there. Where are these real mermaids hiding, then? In the ocean, you freaking idiot. I suppose you could call it the eternal world. The eternal world? Yes, mermaids are not creatures of this world, you see. Aliens? Their original home is Ryugu, the domain of the sea gods. I feel like he would already know this too. Looking into mermaids like... Ryugu. And how do you get there? It's in space. Sorry, can't get there from the ocean. I'm sorry to say that Ryugu's doors are only open to the dead. Going there is impossible for a living human. Ha! You could claim anything with a fairy tale like that. It all sounds like Hokum. That said, the entrance to Ryugu is said to lie somewhere in the Ise Sea. There have been numerous sightings of mermaids crossing over to this world in the area's long history. Which is why Ise Bay has its share of mermaid legends too. Didn't, like, Yuza and Azami not know anything about mermaid legends? I guess, like, not on the island, but the island's on the bay. Now that you mention it, I have heard one of those stories too. Only one? Some old tale about mermaids being found on some long-lost island called Ise-Shima, or the like. What? Oh, that's new. Wait a moment, where did you hear that story? Aha, caught your interest, have I? Looks like the story has some merit to it after all. I was simply surprised, that's all. It's not a name I've come across in any historical records. No, it sounds like you know more than that. Huh. Just something I heard from one of the youngins I have out there looking for mermaids. I was gonna say youngins looking for mermaids, who that could be, but I'm also, like, in my head, I'm thinking one of the younger characters and not, you know, anyone that's younger than 70. Because I think he would say Wakamura is also a youngin. I see. Sounds like you've got a capable young hand. I was gonna say lads. I don't suppose it would be possible to meet with this individual. Nope, not happening. Unless you're willing to spill the beans on everything you know about mermaids. Every last bit of info. Maybe, just maybe, I'd consider it then. It's clear you're no ordinary housewife after all. Nah, could you tell? Not interested? Then this meeting is over. I'll hand the corpse over to the police as promised. But don't think I've given up on mermaids or immortality. If they really exist, I'll find them and make them mine. Yahaha, look at that face. I thought you'd give up. I do wonder why she reacted so, fiercely there. Who's that shadow person? Hey there, you two. Sorry for calling you out here when you're so busy. I figured it'd be best to give you the rundown on our findings as soon as possible. It's no problem. Go ahead. Yo, poster? What have we here? Oh, it's a poster advertising Kameshima. Something about it catch your eye? No, I was just thinking, surely it would be better to put it somewhere tourists will actually see it? Good point. Maybe they had some posters left over? Wait, is it really that suspicious? Interested in Kameshima, are you? It's a nice place, great tourist spot too. I recommend it. Okay, we just had two. I was like, well, is there like a secret hidden behind the poster? Gets you into Team Rocket's lair? This is one of Ise City's residential districts right now. The ground is so hot, the air around it seems to be shimmering. Oh, how intimidating. That's just the police box I was waiting at. Something you were wondering about? Oh no, I just happened to find myself looking at it, that's all. Would you rather talk inside? No, there's no air conditioner, so it's probably cooler out here. Oh, it's quite alright. Talking out here should be fine. I just really, really, really wanted to look at it. Let me think before I look at you. A message came in from Detective Ide just as we were about to head to Kameshima, so we stopped by to hear what he had to say. Impressively quick work on his part, to be sure. I just hope he has some good information for us. It's also vision up. Like one moment where vision's going to actually be important.